Hi there and welcome to Sean Camera Photographic. Welcome back in fact. Today I'm with Jamie, who you may have seen in my previous video where we swapped cameras to great disaster, but we got there in the end. And today we thought we'd discuss the subject of event photography, because event photography is how we make our money, it's what we did, it's what we do, and we've been doing it for a while. And I feel reasonably successful. What about you, Jamie?
I think I've had a lot of fun doing it. Making money is another matter entirely.
I think we've both been fairly successful. And we've been doing it long enough that I think we are going to do 20 of our best tips for event photography. You'll have to excuse my hair. It's fairly windy. I haven't had it cut for a while. And it's going to look absurd at times. Bear with it, bear with it. Now, just to make sure this carries on fairly quickly and speedily, what we're going to do is we're actually going to time each other and we're going to give each other 30 seconds per answer, okay? When you hear that, the person has to stop talking and we move on to the next subject. We're going to propose a subject to each other, and at the end, it's going to be a countdown from 20 down to 1. At the end, I'll be giving you a bonus one, a bonus tip. Trust me, it's worth waiting for, and don't rush to the end. I know you're thinking that. Don't rush to the end, because the rest of them are well worth listening to. Okay, I've said enough. Hi Jamie, which one of us is going to start?
Well, the first thing I think we ought to start with, Sean, is tea. Because we're British, and you have to
I think you're absolutely right. We are in this field because this is our office, basically. I better give you my cup. And a ridiculous sized teapot for an enormous sized mug.
And the teapot I'm having to be very careful with because it's a dribblesome teapot.
And you've dribbled all over the tablecloth.
All over your nice clean tablecloth. So guess who'll be cleaning that?
So let's move that out of the way, because otherwise it'll be very distracting. So let me remind you again, means we move on, just like a game show. Okay, we have got our tea. Cheers. Cheers. Let's start. Now, can I just say, people, that Jamie is very, very organised here. Jamie has got the iPad.
iPad, yes.
iPad. I have the rustly bits of paper. I will be the one rustling. Jamie will be the one giving me dirty looks. And I will be getting into a right muddle like I am at the moment due to the wind and my disorganisation.
It provides entertainment value.
Jamie, let's start. Sun positioning. Talk to me about sun positioning.
Sun positioning is one of those things where it should become absolutely natural to you as a photographer. As soon as you walk in somewhere, you should be standing with your back to the sun so that the people or whatever you're photographing is in front of you, is properly lit, and that should become absolutely second nature.
May I just say that he's just answered that in 8 seconds. So, I'll tell you what, guys, if you don't want to listen to this, we're soon going to get there at this rate.
I could talk for longer, but you know, hey.
Jamie, you have one for me.
Sean, how do you feel about practice?
This is number 19, and we're going to talk about practice. Practice. The one thing you need to do is you need to practice as much as possible. Whatever subject you're going to do, whether it's people, whether it's dogs, whether it's horses. Practice, 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 because when you're doing it professionally and an event, it has to be second nature. Things change, you have to absolutely get there.
Very good. That was 25 seconds.
No bell so far then. Number 18, Jamie. Double up on equipment?
Absolutely. This is one of those things when you're a professional. You'll often see pros walking around and they'll have 2 cameras slung on their side. One on one side, one on the other. There's 2 reasons for this. One of the reasons is that it means you can have a telephoto on one lens and a wide angle on the other camera, and you don't have to worry about swapping lenses mid-shoot. The other thing though is you can cope with a camera going down. I've had this happen on the shoot, a shutter delaminated. I'm sure, Sean, you've had the same thing.
Absolutely, yes. We've all had equipment fail. And I always think how awful it would be if you were doing a wedding or something like that and something failed and you didn't have a spare camera, you didn't have a spare lens, and what are you going to say?
Please do the wedding again.
Exactly. Absolutely awful, awful thought. Right, one for me, old son.
How do you feel about skimping on equipment?
Skimping on equipment, oh, my favourite subject. Now, you can do it with cheaper equipment, and definitely that expensive equipment doesn't make the shot. Practice makes the shot. Technique makes the shot. However, with event photography, you want a higher percentage of those shots in focus and capture the one-offs where you see a couple kissing, you see somebody kissing a horse, somebody's just won, and you just capture it at the corner of your eye and you want it. You don't want the camera still switching on, you don't want it focusing, and you just want to get the shot. I've got it
Right on the bell.
I've got one for Jamie now, number 16. Constantly assess the amount earned on each event. You know how obsessed I am with statistics and analysing sales and everything. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, it's one of those things you have to be really careful of. When you start going to events, it can be tempting to just take every event that's offered to you, but you need to work out how much money you're actually making from an event, and you need to take into account things like wear and tear on equipment, how much it costs you to get there, and all those kind of things. It's very easy to get caught up in the trap where you start taking every event and you're not actually making very much money for it. Start thinking about cherry picking a little so that you get the events that are giving you the best bang for your buck. You're getting the most money.
Oh, I'm going to do it anyway because that was 30. Right, you have one for me.
I believe I do. How do you feel about smart advertising?
Yes, smart advertising. You've got to pick the right time of day. You've got to pick the right time in the evening. Just think about when people are leaving work and they want to see the pictures, they want to see that advert. Think of the right time of the month, payday. As I say, right time of the week, payday. Those are the times that you advertise, when people are looking at their phones and their social media.
25 seconds, perfect. Right, I believe you might have one for me now.
I have got number 14 in our countdown. Find time for your customers, Jamie.
Yeah, the customers are the guys who are actually going to buy your product. They're the guys who give you the money. Always find time for your customers. If they post something on social media, like put up one of your pictures on it, always like it, always comment it, even if it's just to say, you know, so glad you liked it. When you're at events, find the time to speak to your customers. That can be very difficult because you will be run off your feet, but remember, these are the guys who are keeping you in business, so find time for your customers.
Spot on.
And moving right along, how do you feel about selling digital?
Selling digital, number 13. Unlucky for some, selling is never unlucky for us. Okay, selling digital. Don't be old school. A lot of people do not like selling digital because they feel it's like selling negatives. It's not like selling negatives. In the old days, the only thing we could sell were prints, and the only way we could do the prints was negatives. If you sold your negatives, you could make no more money out of it. These days, you can sell the digitals because that's what social media requires. That's what people want. It doesn't stop you selling the prints. Don't be old school.
Oh, so nearly going to ding you then.
Okay, number 12. Don't undervalue your work, Jamie.
This is one that we see so many beginners falling into. They will charge a very low price to build their portfolio and to try and get business. They will give away freebies to people. Don't do it. If you set your bar low, as you move up in the business, you will still be chased by that low bar. People will say to you, but you did my friend's wedding for 50 quid. I want you to do my wedding for 50 quid. You cannot make a living like that. Value your work, sell to the price you are worth.
We've still got 10 seconds left to go, so I'm actually going to say I totally agree with you, Jamie. And if you start low, it's very hard to put your prices up.
Yep.
If you start high, you can always lower your prices.
I'm going to propose one of those ones now that could be an entire video on its own. Print on the day or exclusively online?
Oh boy, yes, print on the day or online. We will do another one purely on this subject because it's such a massive subject. We could, as Jamie said, we could fill an entire video, and we will. I think there's merits to both, and I think just recently, due to COVID, I've noticed that people haven't been able to do print on the day. They've been doing it entirely online, and a lot of the horse photographers are saying they haven't noticed a difference in their sales. So that's really interesting, isn't it?
Yep.
Now, I have another one for you, which is number 10. We're halfway there already, guys. Number 10, stand out in the showground.
Again, this comes back to advertising. If you're at an event, you want people to know that you're at an event. Ways you can do this: you can put out advertising, you can get the organisers to put you in the schedule for the event, but put things out there. Both Sean and I have a slightly different way of doing this. Sean has this great bright orange marquee, which as soon as you arrive says, "Sean is here." I have a similar one. It's white, it just has my name across it in big letters at the top. Both of them tell people you are there. People should never struggle to find the photographer.
Absolutely, absolutely. Me and my orange tent, yes. Okay, you've got another one for me, old son.
Newcomers.
Newcomers, yes. You always earn more from newcomers than you do from the guys that have been doing it a long time. It makes sense if you think about it. If somebody's been they've been going to competitions for the last 5-6 years with the same horse, dog or whatever, they will have enough photographs. The new people coming in, either with new horses, new dogs, in a new team, if you're going to do football, they're the ones you aim for.
Very good, 31 seconds.
Oh, nearly used the bell. Should have used the bell.
I'm not quite that mean. Do you have another one for me now?
I do, and I'm just going to very carefully discard my piece of paper, but possibly slightly more carefully than I did the last one, which is now galloping across the field.
Rustle, rustle, rustle.
Excuse me while I do this. It's so slick, isn't it? Yes, absolutely. Our favourite subject, showing your pictures off at the show.
Yeah, this is one we discovered ages ago. If you're at a show or an event and you're there in the day taking pictures, make sure you have some kind of apparatus that can actually show the pictures from that day as soon as they go up. We use, inside our tent, we'll use a projector projecting onto a screen, and we'll either rush across and put pictures onto it from the day, or we'll have a wireless system putting it up. But people being able to see the pictures from that day just drives sale. It sets that anticipation. People can't wait to get home and order online if you do that. So make sure they see the pictures from that day on that day.
Spot on, and I forgot the time. So for those of you watching it, you can message below whether I got it right or wrong, and whether I'd have been better off not saying anything. Okay, we are now down to number 7. Number 7, you got one for me?
And I think we can do presets and batch processes.
Blimey, yes, we're talking about editing now, yes. Now we get to the nitty-gritty. The editing's the all-important thing, because that's speed. Use presets and batch process whenever possible, because it speeds up the editing process. Don't do each photograph individually. It takes too much time, and time is money.
And speaking of time, I completely forgot to time you then.
I've done it both once. It's because I was so interesting.
Exactly, yes, I'm so entranced by what you were saying.
Because I was talking about money.
Exactly. I'm getting paid for this, aren't I?
Of course you are, yes. Okay, I've got another one for you, and it is number 6. Number 6, which is only spend time working on the best images.
Yep. This is kind of essential again, because if you go to an event and you take a couple of thousand images, you want to filter the images so that you only pick out the best. Now, you should be taking the images so that you only take the best images, and we'll cover that a little bit later, but only process the images that are the best, so that you only put up your best work. You don't want to put up shoddy work, that will affect your reputation, but only process the best images.
Yeah, don't waste your time chasing poor pictures. They're only ever poor pictures that have just got a lot of editing done.
On to number 5 now.
Number 5.
If I said to you, watermarks.
Good grief. Yes, watermarks. I could talk a lot about the lovely people. I've got fantastic customers and I would never criticise them. But if you put a picture out there without a decent watermark on it, some lovely soul will take it off you and post it on social media, however lovely they are, because they think they're doing you a favour and advertising for you. Put a big watermark over it.
I will just jump in there in the few remaining seconds and say, we often see beginners put a tiny watermark on the bottom of the picture. Don't do that. Trust me, in about a year you'll be frustrated by this. Just go right from the start for the big watermark.
Absolutely. What are we down to? Number 4. Okay, number 4 already, you see. Get a workflow that works for you, Jamie.
Yep. Sean and I actually use different programs to process all our pictures. Sean uses Canon RAW, Adobe RAW.
Freudian slip, he's a Canon.
I take in Canon RAW. Sean uses Adobe RAW for the processing. I actually use Lightroom. The point is they both work for us and they allow us to process a lot of images very fast. And if you are trying to process images, the faster you can work, the better. Just find one that works for you and run with that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And now I believe it's
3.
one for me, which ties into what we're talking
3.
for. Yep. Get it right in the camera.
Absolutely spot on. The better you can get it in the camera, the more framed you can get it in the camera, the less you've got to do. The better exposed you can get it, the better light you can get it. Get it right in the camera.
And you still have 10 seconds to go.
Well, in that case, it saves on the editing. There you go.
And that takes us down to number 2.
2. Right. Oh, God, that's aged me, hasn't it? Top 20 on Radio 1. Good grief. Okay, number 2. Don't take unnecessary photographs of any subject.
Yeah, this again comes back to this thing, if you're at an event and you're going to have to process thousands of images, you want to just get the images that are going to actually get you the money. Don't bother on images that aren't going to get you money. You're here to be a professional, you're here to make money. So concentrate on the planned ones. Unless, of course, you see that intimate image, somebody kissing their dog, somebody kissing their horse, that image will sell. By all means, flick up and just take that image.
Okay, we're down to number 1.
So for our number 1 top tip, we are running with speedy editing.
It's what we've been talking about the last 5 minutes, speedy editing. The faster you can do your editing, the faster you can get them online, the faster you can make sales, because those people will buy more if they see them quickly while they still have the memories of the competition. And time is money, and the longer you spend time editing, the less money you're actually making because you're doing longer hours.
And as this is number 1, I'm just going to add a little rider on this one, because Sean loves statistics, so this is an interesting statistic. If you take 3,000 images across an event and you're processing them that night, every second you cut off processing an image actually saves you half an hour. Literally half an hour's worth of processing. So speedy processing.
Okay guys, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that's useful. I will do a summing up of those points that should appear now. And please, if you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe and like. It means so much to me and it means so much to Jamie. Jamie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me here, Sean.
And in case you were worrying, here is your extra bonus one. Whatever event you're going to, plan where the sun's going to be, plan where people are going to look. Because if you're there for 6 hours, you might just find as the sun moves round, their face is in shadow. So plan ahead and know where that sun's going to be when you plan where you're going to be. Okay?